The Tourism Business Council of South Africa says more than 68 billion rand in tourism spend has been lost since South Africa's national lockdown began at the end of March. Earlier on, the Tourism Minister, Ngubane, made a list of announcements with regards to regulations in the tourism industry. You'd recall that there was an announcement that there would be more easing in the industry to talk about the stats. South African tourism satellite account in 2018 saying that tourism spend in South Africa was 273.2 billion rand. Domestic tourism accounting 56% of the total spend, and 44% was international inbound travel. So let's talk now to the spokesperson, or CEO rather, of Tourism Council, Tshifhiwa Tshivengwa, joins us now via Skype. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us. The announcements made by the minister earlier on, the easing, do you welcome them? Are they enough to inject some sort of sustainable or sustainability in the industry?
Thank you for having me, and good evening to your viewers. Indeed, what the minister have announced, there are a little bit of positives in terms of, the sit-down restaurants being opened. Although they cannot sell liquor, which is one of the biggest, revenue earners for the restaurants. So it's there, but it doesn't go far enough to encourage the business owners to really open those establishments and trade sustainably during this time. So as much as we welcome it, we're expecting more, to be honest. So
what more would you have expected?
Well, at the least, we should allow these restaurants to serve liquor at least during the hours that are stipulated for off-consumption. For example, you've got as a restaurant, you can sell liquor for someone who's coming to buy a takeaway of a bottle of wine, but those that are sitting within a restaurant cannot, enjoy a glass of wine. So there's a bit of inconsistencies in terms of, how do you do this and not do the other one? So, and also liquor is a big part of a restaurant experience. We don't sell alcohol as an item. It's sold as a package of experience that people who go to restaurants go there to enjoy. If we were selling only food or only liquor, it will mean that we're selling it for sustenance. A lot of people can eat it.
Let me understand this. So I know some restaurants are saying that their trading margins are hugely dependent on the sale of alcohols. Does it mean that it would not be worth their while to open for sit-down eating?
Majority of them is not going to be worth their while for them to open for sit-down restaurants, because it's just not sustainable. Remember, you still have issues around social distancing. You will have fewer people inside, and the fewer people you have inside, you cannot sell certain items within the establishment. It just, doesn't complete the experience, that one goes to restaurants to do. So that is one element that is not favorable for trading condition. And we're hoping for more, as the president have announced, I
want to talk about these self-assessment forms that people are going to have to fill in when they go to restaurants, conferencing, casino facilities. Just how preventative as a measure is it? Are people going to be honest about whether or not they have sought medical assistance in a recent period? How do people, especially when there's a lot of talk about asymptomatism, how do they know that they are unwell? So how good is it going to be for the safety of people to just have these self-assessment forms?
No, I think it's going to go a long way in terms of having, these forms in terms of track and trace. It is something that we've committed to do. We believe that it's a simple thing to do. Whether people are going to be truthful or not on the forms, it's another matter. And we will encourage everyone to be truthful and to make sure that when they come to these establishments, they are able to provide correct information that will help the health official. But in terms of the truthfulness, we'll leave it to the patrons to make sure that anyone who comes to this establishment must be truthful, must be able to give accurate information so that we can, fight this pandemic together. But like I said, all these things that we've put together is to mitigate the risk of virus spread.
Just very quickly, what else would you have liked the minister to announce? You're saying that she could have gone further by the restaurants. What else do you think that she could have done more to ease conditions for the tourism industry?
Yeah. One of the things that the president have announced when he spoke about advanced level 3 is that accommodation will be open. If you go back to when level 3, the original level 3 was announced, accommodation was already opened for business purposes, for essential services, and so on. So when he talked about opening the accommodation services again, in our minds is that you're opening it for leisure purposes. At the moment, from what has been announced, is that accommodation is not open for leisure purpose, which, if you look at it, there's no difference between someone sleeping at a hotel for leisure purpose or for business purpose. So, if we want to stimulate this industry, we have to open for leisure purposes, and we have to allow interprovincial travel. Because we are not going to be doing that, no one is going to open. So it simply means that what has been announced by the president is not what's going to happen, because we are not opening accommodation for leisure purposes. You cannot do your self-drive and sleep at a lodge because you are not allowed to, because that will be considered as leisure accommodation. So why were we opening the accommodation again? For what purpose? Because it was already open for business purposes. So once again, it doesn't support this industry. We remain where we are. The only thing that have changed from the accommodation point of view is the fact that now conferences can be held. And the fact that, the casinos can go ahead on a capacity of 50%. But for us in accommodation space, there's really nothing that has changed since lockdown level 3. So it's the same. We still continue to shed jobs. We still continue to have no economic activity. The UIFTS program is coming to an end. We're going to start to see massive retrenchments come through in the next month. So there is really nothing that has changed. There's no stimulus that have come through. We're still in the same place that we were at level 3.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, CEO of Tourism Council, Tshifhiwa Tshivengwa.